Welcome to the 4 Bells Fitness Emporium and workout from home number 77. After last week's testing week, now we are in our workout from home push-up cycle, which means the intention is, well, first of all, we have to think about what were our goals from last week. Do I want to get my first push-up? Am I looking to increase my push-up numbers? Or am I feeling double dangerous, or dangereux? I'm looking to get a one-arm push-up this time round. So whatever we're trying to work towards is going to dictate how we're going to approach our strength piece today. But before we get into our strength piece, let's talk about what we're going to do with the warm-up today. Very simple, 3 things to get us nice and warmed up without kind of sacrificing the strength component today. We're going to do some wall arm circles, which basically means all you need is a wall. You can stand next to a wall. From there, we're going to look at wrist mobility just for 30 seconds. A lot of people complain about having janky wrists, particularly if you are a desk warrior. And last but not least, my favorite push-up variation, we add them into warm-ups a lot, mostly because of the mobility component that comes with them. We're going to do the Hindu push-up. So we're going to do these 3 things 3 times in the warm-up today. Let's have a look at how those bad boys should look. With our wall arm circles today, all we're trying to do is do what's known as chiropractic circles as a controlled articular rotation, which basically means, can I move my shoulder in a circle? Can I make it look as beautiful as possible? So all I need is a wall. As you can see, my shoulder is not touching the wall. There's a bit of a gap here, and that's fine. What I'm trying to think is, as I perform my arm circle, I'm trying to get as close as possible with minimal compensation from the rest of the body. So that means if I'm starting here, thumb comes up overhead. When I get overhead, I turn the palm to face the wall, and I slowly come around, ideally without the hand touching the wall. So I do this going backwards at first for 5 reps, then we change the direction. Palm faces the wall. When I get overhead, I switch it so the palm is facing now out, and I come around for 5. So I'm going to do 5 going backwards, 5 going forwards, or whichever way you like, and then we switch to the other arm for 10 reps. From there, we come down, and we're going to do some wrist mobility work. So it depends again, where do your wrists feel the tightest? We've got 4 options to play around with, and of course we've got 3 rounds in the warm-up, so play around with what feels best for you. Ideally, what I'm going to do is take my pinkies, and I'm going to turn my pinkies out so that my middle fingers face towards me, and I'm going to bring my knees so they're maybe 3 or 4 inches away from my fingers. From here, all I'm going to do is just gently bounce back. Gently bounce. The wrist is mainly made of connective tissue, so we don't want to be horrible to it. We just want to be nice and gentle, gently mobilizing the wrist. If that feels pretty good, we can try the middle fingers pointing out, and we're going to just shift from side to side. Again, it's your job. Find which ones feel most spicy. Probably best to do those guys. From here, you can have the middle fingers pointing forwards. We're going to shift forwards. Notice how my feet come off, but I do not face plant. Face planting is not part of wrist mobility. And then last but not least, we bring the pinkies all the way in. Very difficult for some people, including myself. And I'm just going to sit back gently and see how that feels. The gentle bounce is key. From here, we're going to do our Hindu push-ups. So I would say in a warm-up should be nice and easy. Bum back to the heels. We extend the arms out, child's pose style. I'm going to either keep the nose pretty high and make things nice and easy for myself, or I can bring the forearms down and a nice smooth transition over the wrists. Either way, shouldn't be too horrible. We're looking to make sure our Hindu push-ups are nice and smooth, and we're going to do 5 reps in our warm-up today. So, shoulder circles against the wall, 10 each side, 5 forwards, 5 backwards. From there, about 30 seconds of wrist mobility. Find which one works best for you in terms of difficulty. And then from there, 5 Hindu push-ups. We're going to do those 3 things 3 times in the warm-up today. With today's strength piece, we are looking to build on our push-ups depending on your goal. So let's talk about how the sets are set up today. We're going to have 5 sets. Each set is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. So the first one we're looking at is push-ups in our first 90 seconds. And as you can see here, we've got 3 levels. So pick the level that correlates with your goal. Trying to get your first push-up would be level number 1. Trying to increase your push-up numbers is level number 2. And trying to go for your one-arm push-up is level number 3. So if we're doing level 1, we're doing scaled push-ups, you're going to notice that the volume, the amount of reps we do is going down. So we're going to be doing 5 to 8 reps this week. In level number 2, regular push-ups, because we want to increase that volume, reps are going up. We are now doing 5 to 10 reps this week. From there, third level, one arm push-ups, we are doing 5 per side, keeping the volume the same, just because we're trying to get used to being in that one arm position. From there, once we've done our push-ups, should be done well under a minute, giving us 30 seconds to rest before we get into Y raises. The Y raise today is a great exercise for the low traps, which in turn helps stabilize the shoulder, and it's probably one of the most forgotten areas of strength, particularly if you live in modern times, and particularly if you work at a desk a lot. So we're going to go over how to do push-ups and Y raises for today's strength piece. When we are doing our push-ups today, it's about that universal hand position. I've mentioned this many times. It's all about training with longevity in mind. So when it comes to our push-ups, we should be thinking whether I'm doing scaled, regular push-up on the floor, or even moving towards a one-arm push-up, is the shoulder position and the elbow position. So the hand should be approximately shoulder width. I imagine I'm holding onto a bar and I'm trying to bend that bar. Notice how the pit of the elbow now faces forwards. And that's what we should be doing when we're doing our push-ups. So if we're doing scaled today, we're going to be doing it maybe on a box, on the stairs, whatever it happens to be. And the goal as the weeks go on is to get lower and lower as we go through our reps. So hands on the box, shoulder width, we bend the bar, corkscrew those arms in, chest comes down, and we push up. If that's not for you, you're a level 2 person, same positioning again. Hands directly below the shoulder, we bend the bar, we're in a nice tight plank position, chest comes down, and we perform our push-ups from there. If we're doing a one-arm push-up, it should look very similar. I've still got that hand position, I'm still trying to corkscrew it in, and maybe I'm bringing the hand out to the side, maybe I'm bringing the hand down to the hip, much wider with our base of support, and we're trying to do 5 each side. So whichever I'm doing, if it's scaled, we're bringing the reps down 5 to 8. If I'm doing regular push-ups level 2, we're going 5 to 10 as the volume goes up. If we're doing level 3, we're doing 5 per hand. That's what we're doing in the first 90 seconds of today's strength piece. The Y raise is a fantastic exercise to develop the low traps, which are one of the most forgotten parts of strength development. And the reason why it's so important is because having weak low traps can lead to shoulder injuries in the future if you're not careful. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, because the majority of people do have weak low traps, but we're going to try and develop them today because we know over the next few weeks we're going to be doing a lot of pushing, which means the anterior part of the shoulder is going to get developed, which means we need to do our stuff for the back as well to make sure we can balance everything out. When we're doing a Y raise, I want to be 1/2 of the Y in YMCA. So if this is my Y in YMCA, I just want to be 1/2 of that. As you can see here, I've got 2 big boxes. You may not have 2 big boxes in your house, but I'm sure you have something you can rest your elbow or your hand or your forearm or somehow support your body on something. So for me, this is very convenient. I'm going to hinge forwards a little bit and just rest my forearm on the box just to stabilize me. I pull the shoulder blade back, raise up into that Y, and then slowly come down. Relax, retract, raise up, come down. Relax, retract, raise up, and come down. Of course, start light. These are relatively small muscles. So what I would say is if you're at home thinking, I don't have a small 5-pound dumbbell, maybe you've got a can of beans or a can of chickpeas, whatever it happens to be, even maybe a small cat, I recommend that you maybe bump the reps up a little bit. If 10 is super easy, maybe try 12 or 15, but remember, we're trying to get both sides done within that 90-second window. Keep it light, keep the reps beautiful, and that's what we're looking for our Y raise today. With today's conditioning piece, it is a 10-minute AMRAP, so a relatively short AMRAP today, which means the intention is to try and keep the pace as high as we can. So we're going to start the AMRAP. Well, if you wonder what AMRAP stands for, we should probably explain that. It stands for as many rounds as possible. In each one of our rounds, we have an aerobic piece, we have some push presses, and we have some Russian triangles. So in our aerobic piece today, what do we have available? Can I run outside? Can I run down my street for 100 meters, turn around and come back? Do I have a rowing machine or a skier where maybe I'm going to do 200 meters? Maybe I have an air dive where I'm going to do 20 calories. Or maybe I have nothing and I'm stuck in my condo somewhere and I'm going to do maybe 50 jumping jacks or 50 skips of a rope. From there, from that aerobic piece, I'm then going to grab 2 dumbbells, maybe an empty barbell, maybe a sandbag, whatever it is. Nothing too crazy heavy. We're going to do 10 push presses, ideally in a row without resting. From there, we're going to get onto the floor. We're going to do some Russian triangles, ideally with a light weight. Doesn't have to be too crazy. We're going to do 10 Russian triangles. We repeat these 3 things as many times as possible, keeping a high pace today for a 10-minute hour. So with today's conditioning piece, it's our 10-minute AMRAP. We're starting with some kind of aerobic piece. So maybe you're on a bike. A lot of our members have the Concept 2 bike. I would say instead of doing 200 meters, maybe we bump it up to 400 meters if you're on a bike, or it's a little bit easier, or it could be 20 calories. Or you could be on a row machine for 200 meters. You could run down your street for 100, turn around and come back. You could grab a skipping rope, super cheap and easy to get hold of. You could do 50 turns of rope, or maybe even 50 jumping jacks. Either way, we're going to do our aerobic piece, 200 meters, 20 calories, 50 jumping jacks, and then we're going to get onto our push press. In an ideal world, we have a giant plethora of dumbbells. Maybe you don't have that available, so use the ones you have. I would say if you find you've got relatively light weights, just try and move with more purpose. Move faster today throughout the workout if you can. And if you have heavy dumbbells, maybe bring the reps down a little bit. Either way, I'm going to do 10 push press. Dumbbells rest on the shoulder, and I'm going to use that leg drive, that dip and drive to get the dumbbells off the shoulder. I dip drive overhead and back down to the shoulder. Dip drive overhead and back down to the shoulder. Once I've done 10 push press, it's Russian triangle time. With the Russian triangle, I am trying to think of making a triangle, which means I need 3 points. I've got a point to the right of me, a point to the left of me, and a point behind me on the floor where my head goes back. So if I'm holding a plate, super handy, but you could also use your dumbbell, or you could use a slam ball, or whatever you have available. All I'm looking to do is start by sitting back. I touch 1 point of the triangle, and I sit up, 2, and 3. Next rep, I switch the direction, I sit up. 1, we have 3, 2. So every time I sit up, that's 1 rep. So this would be 10, 9, and so on and so forth. So we've got our 10-minute AMRAP, 200 meters, 20 calories, 50 skips, whatever you want. From there, 10 push press, 10 Russian triangles. Try to go as fast as you can. Enjoy. With our extra sauce, the cherry on top of today's workout, we are going to do some Tabata plank ups. So using the Tabata interval system, it can be used many different ways. It can be used to increase aerobic capacity by anaerobic intervals, or it can be used like a muscular endurance piece, which is how we're going to use it today. With the Tabata plank up, we're going to do 20 seconds of plank ups, 10 seconds rest. We're going to do that 8 times, which equals a 4-minute finisher today. With the Tabata plank up, it's pretty straightforward. All I need to do is have my hands on the floor in a plank position, and maybe you need a mat underneath, maybe you don't, depending on how comfortable you are with your elbows touching the floor. I'm going to have my feet a little bit wider than my regular plank position, because I know when I move around there's going to be a little bit of rotation. So from here, the sequence starts, elbow, elbow, hand, hand. And if I can, every time I do a rep, I then switch the arm that I start with. So I started with the right arm, and now go left, elbow, elbow, hand, hand. And all we're trying to do is keep moving for 20 seconds. If you find that this gets really tough for you very quickly, rather than just stopping, just hang out for 20 seconds in a plank, take a round off, and then try and get back into your plank ups in the next round. So that's what we're looking for our extra sauce today. 8 rounds of 20 seconds of plank ups, 10 seconds of rest. Enjoy. This was workout from home number 77. Let us know how you got.